Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. A few things. I have a yoga mat. If you don't have one, find an area in your house that's got some carpeting, or maybe you've got a nice sturdy rug somewhere, not something that's going to slip out from underneath you. But I want you to have a little padding. I don't really advise you to be on a hardwood floor or linoleum. Once you find that, you've found your yoga mat. I have 2 yoga blocks. A great substitute would be 2 thick books. And I do have a folded blanket on my couch, a throw blanket. Maybe you've got one of those or a beach towel that you can use in case we want to pad our knees or prop up sitting on something. I've been known also to steal the cushions from my couch or a pillow from my couch to sit up on. So use the things in your home that make this practice feel its best. It's all about balance, isn't it? Life. It's also all about balance in our bodies and body and mind. Balance is such an interesting concept, and we'll explore it a bit today. So let's first stand in our mountain. So if you make a big circle of your arms away from each other and let your palms face out, you will feel a balance between your feet in the earth and your head in the heavens, the crown of your head extending high. I'm going to ask you to either divert your gaze or close your eyes to feel the balance between your 2 feet in a different way. I'd encourage you also to feel the balance of inhales and exhales. Maybe you can even sense that there is a balance between effort and surrender. We're putting in a little effort to standing tall, but we're surrendering to the pull of gravity and the groundedness and to this moment. Let's stay very aware. Blink your eyes open and shift your weight onto your right foot so that if you were closing your eyes, which you could experiment with, now what you noticed with trying to find balance between your 2 feet is offset. And then let's do that over to our left. And we just lighten up in the weight on our right foot. Now come back to center, and again, either divert your gaze or close your eyes and feel that there's kind of a little of that going on all the time, isn't there? You sort of ride a little bit to one side and then to the other, finding balance. Now blink your eyes open again and shift over to your right. And this time, option to lift your left foot just an inch off your mat. And you might even try diverting your gaze or closing your eyes for a second with that. And then put that left foot down and do the same little silly experiment over on your left leg. Right leg lifts, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. Try closing your eyes or just diverting your gaze for a moment. Then come back to center, and if it's okay, close your eyes, but let's be in the center and feel balance with a different sensibility to it maybe. Then blink your eyes open and make your way to face the short edge of your mat, or whatever is acting as the short edge of your mat. And we'll stand in our mountain. And even though we're not closing our eyes and we're not so heavily focused on balance, it's happening. We're kind of fishing back and forth for some balance. And we want to know where that is, because as we trundle through time, balance is a very important thing for us not to lose. I mean that in our standing. I mean that in our lives as well. Now inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Stay here for a moment. Traction your hands into your thighs and lengthen your spine. Keep this length in your spine and maybe slide your hands down towards your shins. It's a hinge at our hips. And even though we're forward folding, we're lengthening forward. Maybe your hands go further down, but that's not the goal. Keeping the hinge in your hips and the length in your spine is. Now we'll slide our hands up and inhale, and maybe you slide them back on top of your thighs so you've got something to use. And then we'll come all the way up, thumbs to the sky, inhale, V shape. Stand in your mountain with your palms facing out. We'll add on. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart, and this time bend your knees as deeply as you need to place your palms flat. Begin pushing the ground away already and walk yourself back into down dog. The push in your arms doesn't go away. Step your feet as wide as your mat, bend your knees, be on the balls of your feet, and now grow a few inches, pushing the ground away and lifting your hips up to the sky, like you've got a hook there. Walk your feet forward to your hands, hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart. Glide your hands down, exhale, hinge at your hips. And then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky. Pause in your mountain, palms face out, and uplift to our heart. Adding more. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up and inhale. Bend your knees, palms go flat as we step back to down dog. Maybe your feet are more like hip distance. If it's better with them wide, keep them wide, push the ground away. And now shift to a plank with your shoulders over your wrists. Keep pushing the ground away so we don't sag into our shoulders. The hook in your tailbone takes you back to down dog. And we'll go back and forth like that 2 more times. So come into plank, shoulders over wrists. We push the ground away. And then we bring ourselves to down dog. The hook in our tailbone guides us back. This time, shoulders over wrists, we're in our plank and we bring our knees down. So this is a modified plank. Let's refine. We're not collapsed. So as I've said, push the ground away and you might feel a little bit more core work doing that. And something called, instead of our shoulder blades falling towards each other, there's protraction as we push the ground away here. Now shift a little bit forward, firm your belly, think elbows brushing against your ribs as you come in one piece all the way onto the floor. Once you're there, uncurl your toes, press the tops of your feet into your mat, and bring your forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat. Use that to traction your heart through the gateway of your arms, and our chin stays parallel instead of trying to do the back bend for us. The back bend is now that we have retraction in our shoulder blades, so they're moving towards each other, and we're encouraging a little dusting of a back bend in our upper back. We'll lower down and reposition our hands next to our floating ribs. Instead of winging our elbows out, bring your elbows in like they're brushing against your ribs, and see if you can traction into something that looks and feels a little bit like that Sphinx, otherwise known as Cobra. Lower down and curl your toes under. In one chunk, come to all fours. And then from all fours, relocate that hook in your tailbone and let your hips lift you up and back into down dog. Likely bent knee. Your hips are high. You're pushing the ground away. And then we walk our feet to our hands. Hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up. Inhale. Glide your hands down. Exhale. And then eyes, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. Stand in your mountain. Palms facing out. Let's flow. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up. Inhale. Bend your knees as deeply as you need to. Palms go flat. We step back to down dog. We're pushing the ground away. We come to plank with our shoulders over our wrists, and then we bring our knees down like a kickstand, and in one piece we come to our belly. Uncurl your toes for either Sphinx or Cobra pose, and then lower down, curl your toes under in one chunk to all fours, and then your hips lift you up and back into down dog. From down dog, walk your feet forward to your hands. Feet are hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up your shins. Inhale. And then slide them down only as far as you can keep your spine long. And then we inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. And we stand in our mountain with our palms facing out. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, V. Exhale, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Bend your knees so that your hands get flat. Push the ground away right away. Hook in our tailbone. It's our down dog that we shift now into plank, shoulders over wrists, knees down. We're still pushing the ground away, even as we lower and our elbows brush our ribs. Once we're on our bellies, it's a cobra or a sphinx pose. Then lower down, curl your toes under in one piece. We come to all fours. And then the hook in our tailbone takes us into down dog. From down dog, walk forward, feet to your hands, hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up. Inhale. Slide your hands down. Exhale. And then inhale, rise, reach. Thumbs to the sky. And then we stand in our mountain with our palms facing out. We'll play more with balance. First with tree pose. So our feet are hip distance. This is where you might want to move your tree, relocate your tree, move mountains, as it were, to a wall, or use the arm of your sofa. But I feel like a wall is nice because it will be higher for you. Now, earlier we were shifting back and forth, remember, and playing with balance. So you will shift your weight onto your right foot and maybe take your right hand on the wall, and then bring your left hand on your hip. Hug this right hip underneath you so we've got some support for our balance as well, sturdiness to our balance. Take your left leg out in front of you. From your hip joint, dance a jig, turning that left leg out, and then plant the ball of your left foot to the inside of your right foot, and perhaps that's enough. Maybe you bring your left foot to the calf muscle area of your right foot, your right leg. Perhaps you take that left foot into the inner thigh of your right leg, but that's going to be very tempting to collapse, so please try not to. And now, instead of balancing on our 2 feet, we're balancing on 1 foot, so we'll have to really read the tea leaves of what that means underneath us. Your left arm might go wide out to the side, thumb to the sky. And if it's helpful, keep your right hand on your wall, or play with taking that right hand off the wall or lighter on the wall, finding balance. Let's breathe. 3 moments. Right hand on the wall, left hand on your hip, turn that left knee forward, step down and into your mountain with your feet hip distance and parallel. We'll do the same idea of shift, right, onto our left leg. So now maybe your left hand goes onto your wall and your right hand comes to your hip. Hug your left hip underneath you. Take your right leg out in front of you, and from that hip joint, turn your right leg out. Then plant the ball of your right foot to the inseam of your left foot, and it can stay there. Or right foot on your right shin, right foot on your left shin, pardon me. That would be hard to do. Right foot on your right shin, or right foot in the inseam of your left leg. Let this be playful. Maybe your right branch will grow, and possibly even your left branch grows a little bit as we're here in our V shape. Stay steady. 3 moments. Left hand on your wall, right hand on your hip, knee faces forward, we step down. And then standing in our mountain, let's nerd out a little bit once again on that balance. Close your eyes if it's comfortable, or divert your gaze and just feel, oh, I'm dancing all the time in between my right and left sides. And we'll blink our eyes open and situate our 2 books or blocks, or even the seat of a chair, or go to the arm of your sofa if you'd like to. Something that can support you a little bit as we play once again with some balance. So standing and facing the short edge and the 2 tall blocks, or whatever it is that you're using to help you. Palms turn away from each other. Let's start once again by standing on our right leg. So shift your weight onto your right foot. And now bend your left knee into your chest. We'll do just that much. Step down, shift your weight into your left leg, and now bend your right knee into your chest. So it's like we're doing strange steps. Shift it to your right, bend your left knee into your chest, and then step on your left leg and bring your right knee into your chest. Now we're going to add on. Ready? Shift your weight to your right foot, take your left knee into your chest, and now just extend that left leg behind you. You'll get your hands on either your sofa arm or on your two tall blocks, and here we are in a letter T, trying to find some balance. You could even lighten your hands up a little bit and see what it's like to balance on your right leg in a letter T position. Now, this is good fun. This is silly good fun. Ready? We will hug our left knee into our chest as we come upright. I bet there's a little balance fun there. And then step it down and pause. All kinds of little games that we can play to test our balance. And like I said, we want to maintain our balance as we trundle through time. Let's shift over onto our left leg. And then we'll bring our right knee into our chest as we've been playing with. And then, like a little seesaw, extend your right leg behind you. Find something, the arm of your sofa, your two tall blocks, and pause. And then once you're situated here, you may want a little bit of bend in your left knee. That's a great idea. You could play lightening up on your hands a bit or not. It's fine to stay just like this. And then here's our pièce de résistance. Ready? Right knee into your chest as we stand up and give it a hug. And all kinds of bobbles happen for me too. And then step down and into our mountain. Let's do that one more time. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Bend your left knee into your chest. Let it seesaw carefully into a letter T. Aim your hands for something, like blocks would be a good idea. And we'll go a little bit faster, not fast, but we now bend our left knee into our chest, stand on our right leg, give it a squeeze, step down, and then onto our left leg. And our right knee bends into our chest. We seesaw into our letter T. You'll find something with your hands. The arm of your sofa would be great. And then upright we go, hugging that right knee into our chest, giving it a squeeze, enjoying all the wobbles as we learn, and then step down into your mountain. A whole new appreciation for how we balance simply standing, right? Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Now stay here with bent legs. With your bent legs, we will again shift our weight onto our right leg. Come upright with your chest a bit and let your thumbs go to the sky. Play around with this idea of balance. A little bit like tree, but different. We will now take our left ankle on top of our right thigh. It's a very good time to be in front of a wall, in front of the arm of your sofa. You could reach down and find your blocks. There'll be a pretty nice stretch going on here, and you could just enjoy that using the assist of the balance. Or you could decide to take your arms alongside you, turn your palms to face down, and imagine that you're doing Sphinx pose with a balancing act and a hip stretch all at one time. Bring your hands back to something, your blocks, the arm of your sofa, and then we will step our left foot down hip distance, take our hands onto our thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips, and then just stand, reaching thumbs to the sky, and pause for a second before we head to side two. Inhale, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Lift your heart, inhale. Now keep your knees bent, arms out to the side. Shift your weight to your left leg and cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. We reach down now and find something like maybe our blocks or the arm of our sofa, and we pause. It could be interesting to try to balance this. So arms along your side, palms face down. That's a lot to ask. That's balance and stretch. Feel no pressure to do that. You can keep your hands securely on your blocks or on the wall or the arm of your sofa. And then let's return our hands to that to step down. So feet hip distance, hands to your thighs. Lift your heart, inhale. Hinge as you exhale, and then we rise. Reach thumbs to the sky, a V. Pause in your mountain with your palms facing out. Appreciate that little nuanced, subtle feeling of our understanding of balance. Moving your blocks so that they're not in the way of a sun salutation that will take us to the floor. We'll inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, palms flat. Step it back, push the ground away the whole time. Downward facing dog. Shift into plank, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees to your mat and slowly lower to your belly. Elbows brush your ribs. It's a cobra pose or perhaps a sphinx pose. Lower back down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. Stay with the all fours, but swing your legs around and lie down on your back. What? Lie down on your back with your feet hip distance and parallel and your knees to the sky. I love lying on the ground to find things posturally that are very difficult to find in midair. So when we were standing up and balancing, we were also talking about the position of our spine. Let's feel our shoulder blades against the ground. Now we don't have to worry about falling over. We're here close to the ground. So the investigation is within balance as well. We've balanced literally, and now the balance is that we're grounded, rooted, after some intense balancing and upright positions. We will hug our right knee into our chest, and then you can keep this left knee bent or slide your left leg straight as we straighten our right leg and hold on wherever we can, probably around our hamstring. You can also use a kitchen towel around that hamstring, and then find a place where the feedback on the back of your right leg is interesting, but you also can stay with your shoulder blades flattened out on the ground as much as possible. So this is not an attempt to get to this kind of a deal. We're letting it, you could even just not hold on and let it be straight there. That's why a prop like a kitchen towel can be really helpful. We stay here and pause. – 45 seconds of silent stretching. Now, you'll bend your left knee and place your left foot on the ground and then cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Give a good flex to that right foot, and maybe this is plenty. Be honest. This is a great investigation of that figure 4 that we did standing, but on the ground. And it might be most valuable to feel the shoulder blades against the ground, feedback that you're getting that you can't possibly get in midair. You don't have to balance it, so there's that. Maybe right hand through the space, you thread the needle, and this becomes an interesting stretch. There's likely a little bit of rounding that goes on if this is what you're up to. You'll decide. We have a full minute of reclining pigeon stretch starting now. Now gently release both feet on your mat. Your left leg will go up to the sky. You can use that kitchen towel. Your right knee can stay bent, or you'll straighten that out. And then just find a place. Let's tuck our shoulder blades underneath and maybe just leave that leg to the sky. And then the kitchen towel can be helpful. Holding your left hamstring can be helpful. We get into this stretch for a moment. Another exploration of balance is to note that one side probably feels a little bit different than the other with these stretches. We use our bodies in a pretty unbalanced way. So again, without judgment, just notice. 30 more seconds here. We turn this into a figure 4, basically, bending our left knee, or bending our right knee, and then taking our left ankle on top of our right thigh. So just like the figure 4 that we did, balancing, but now there is no balance because here we are on the floor, and there's nothing wrong with staying just like this. Maybe left hand through the space, and you do an interlace around your hamstring or around your shin. We've got a full minute here in reclining pigeon. Thirty more seconds together here. And then gently release. Place your feet on your mat. Once again, let's shimmy our shoulder blades underneath us. And then just lift your hips up a little bit so you make a bit of space. And then lower your hips to your mat. And this is where we really explore balance. You might keep your knees bent, you might let your legs straighten, but this is where we balance out our frenetic lives, and we lie here on the floor and rest and digest. 2 minutes in our Shavasana final meditation. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation for as long as you would like. If you're ready, give yourself a stretch as if we were waking up, refreshed and renewed. Gather your knees in your chest and roll to either side, and then bring yourself up to a comfortable way to sit. That could be on one of your blocks or cushions or a folded blanket. And we'll place our hands on our heart and pause in gratitude. Grateful that we have this practice that allows us to explore. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for taking this time today. I look forward to us doing this again together soon.